Welcome to episode 10 of the ISO podcast with me, your host Chuck Duru, and on today's episode I was joined by GB international Ashley Hamilton. In this episode we spoke in depth about Ashley's career from his time at Canaries Basketball Academy to his time at college at Loyala Marymount. We'd also discussed his experiences working out for numerous NBA teams after his senior year of college and being a part of the Sacramento Kings Summer League roster before ultimately signing a professional contract in Italy and embarking on a pro career that has taken him all around the world. We spoke on the London City Royals and I got Ashley's take on his lone season in the BBL and how it compares to the Spanish second division, as well as discussing Ashley's off-court business ventures. Thank you to all my supporters and listeners who've tuned into season 1, and thank you to all my guests too. Without you there's been no podcast. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and enjoyed season 1, and I look forward to starting on season 2 and bring you that in the near future. So as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Any feedback as well would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Ashley, how's it going?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. Thanks for coming on. You're out in Spain, right?
Yeah, I'm in Coruña,
right.
Northwest of Spain.
Right.
If you ever heard of the football team Deportivo La Coruña, it's that city right there in Singapore.
Right. How's the lockdown treating you out there?
It's been good, It's been good. I kind of enjoy being kind of locked away anyway, personally. I like situations where I'm able to think, read, kind of like come up with a new plan. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's been a good time for that. It's been a good time for reflection, good time for growth.
Yeah.
And it's been very focused on coming out of it different than I went into it.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I think I'm kind of the same, to be fair. I think at first, I thought, I'm someone who, I'm quite a busybody, so I guess being in my house lockdown is probably the worst thing for me. But then, later on, I think further on in the lockdown, I kind of was able to, get passion projects like this going and other stuff that I've kind of been putting off. So it's been good.
The way it's for me, main thing for me that was the difference is like, as a pro, like a lot of time you spend a lot of time by yourself anyway, and like in different places, and you tend to be isolated a lot of the time. But like a lot of the time when you want to do stuff and you're thinking about stuff, and I've got to do this, and I want to do this, or want to do that. Like there's no more excuses basically. Yeah. This is like there was a time for it, a lot of time to do it. So
yeah, no, too right, man, too right. So I understand, you've recently been, gone back to practice. Albeit individuals, is that right?
Yeah. So we started on Thursday. The plan was, so we're a little bit ahead of the rest of the country in terms of like the phases we're in.
Yeah.
So the government here allowed us to have individual practice. One person per court, one person per basket with one coach. The coach had to wear like gloves and a mask for an hour, so they rotated us from Thursday because they were hoping that the league would restart again. That's why we've still been out here the whole time.
Right.
And today is actually the cut-off day for the decision. And as I went to practice earlier, I went, and whilst I was there, they cancelled the league for this season, so my season's officially done now.
Oh, right. Done.
Yeah. So we worked out on Thursday, Friday, Saturday to give us Sunday off. Today, obviously.
Right. So that means, I guess, I'm guessing the league standings as they are will hold.
Yeah. That's the argument. The league standings as they are going to hold. No one's going to get relegated. They're arguing for 2 teams to get promoted to the ACB. But the ACB doesn't want 20 teams in the ACB because they're not relegating anyone. So there's a big argument going on there because of Corona. Also, like one of the teams might not have the money to go up. If that happens, then we're probably going to go up since we're third.
Right.
We're actually one game off the top spot, and we have the tiebreaker against the last 2 teams.
Right.
We had 10 games left, so it was a tough situation for us because we definitely felt that we would finish the league on top, but things happen.
Yeah. So yeah, touching on your season this year, how do you think it went for you personally?
It was a tough one for me simply because of how it started. I was out for a long time, coming from the Royals and my situation over there, dealing with the madness that was going on over there. Then when I signed here, my girl was pretty heavily pregnant at that time, so it's not like basketball was my first priority or thought. But they wanted, even when I signed, at first I was telling them, nah, I'm not coming. I need like a good month or whatever, and they were like, nah, just come for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is, and just go back when your son gets born, and come back after that. So it was difficult for me to get going. And I experienced a couple of little injuries early. I was just kind of fighting through that the rest of the season. Like, just little nagging injuries, but I had a good year, man. I had good numbers, did well. Like I said, we were in the third spot. We beat the number 1 team, we beat the number 2 team. Like, we beat all the best teams in the league. We fell short a couple of times in a couple of tough away games. I had some good games, and I'm getting some good offers for next season already.
That's good, man. That's good. So yeah, let's start from the beginning of your career. You're originally from South London, is that right?
Yeah, South London by way of Sierra Leone, Africa.
Oh, good. Can't forget the roots.
Never.
And you grew up playing for the London Towers, is that right?
Yeah, man.
So talk to me about that, like, growing up in London and what, I guess, the basketball culture was like around that time.
Honestly, there was none. There was none. Especially like when I was young, when I was coming up, basketball to me was something that people played in a far, far away land. Like, I heard of Michael Jordan, I heard of Shaq, heard of Kobe. Even one of my uncles is from LA, and we went out there, went to visit him. I went to the Staples Center, but it still didn't register to me that basketball was a thing. So it wasn't until the Annual mixtape came about, and from there I kind of got introduced into Streetball Code UK, that I learned that basketball was something that was being played in the UK. And obviously, it's not that even now the culture has grown, so it's a lot more accessible. But to find it was tough at the time. So I honestly didn't start playing till I was about 14, 15, around that age. So
Right.
It's a late start for myself, but once I found it, I fell in love.
And who were like some of your, I guess, peers, that you played against growing up? Just for people who don't know, who maybe not be familiar.
So I played against guys like David Ajamobi, Albert Margai, Orland Chapman, Jack Crawford before he moved over to American football, Joe Freeland, Menlet Watson at Manchester, Matt Williams at Manchester, Ben Eves, those guys. That was at my age group. Joe Kimwin, Marvin Fuller. Who else? Let me not forget anyone, man. But that kind of age group, 87, 88, obviously, men like Justin, Ogo, they were a little bit ahead. They'd already gone to the States. This is all my age group. These are all guys that I came up with, was playing with, and man, it's formed a lot of beautiful friendships just pursuing the hoop game.
Yeah, I think that's a common story, for a lot of basketball players. Like, I look at my friendship group and like we're all friends from playing together. A lot of my friends who have like close groups is all from like playing on the same team, playing against each other and whatnot. So,
battling, competing, finding places to work out. That's a journey in itself. Just to, especially in those days, just to find a spot to go on the hoop and work on your game, and
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So you eventually made the move to the States, playing at Lawrence Academy. How did that come about, and what was that experience like?
First of all, it was amazing. I was only there for a year because I got recruited to go from there to the Canaries Basketball Academy, which I went to reluctantly at first, but that was also a good start for me.
Right.
But I ended up there by way of 5-star basketball camp. So the year before, that summer that I went to prep school, I went to 5-star camp, and I had a good show in there. There was like a lot of highly touted kids from the tri-state area, like New York, Connecticut, Jersey, and I was one of the top 2 kids, so I had like a lot of interest from schools and prep schools, and at the time that was my dream. Like I wanted to get to the States. I thought that was it. I thought, get to the state that obviously the facilities, the coaching. I thought that would be the next step to my dream. So getting an opportunity, I started playing for the AAU team that summer, and a couple of the guys from the team went to that school. So that's why I chose that particular school that I went to. And yeah, that's how I got there, man. I was blessed to have played decent enough, I think, in National League to get recognised and invited to the camp. Made my way out to the camp, and then I got to prep school.
Like, how good was your high school team? Like, were you playing on like a national schedule, or was it more within the state?
It was within the state, but we played a couple of tournaments. Like it's a pretty big tournament. It's called the Prep School Invitational. At the time, that the Prep School League was the best league in the country overall. Now there were other schools around the country that were ranked very highly, or there were other leagues that were good leagues here or there, but overall that Prep School League, because like guys would go from other high schools and come to the Prep School League and like do like their prep year before they went to the league, or or like guys who did the prep year before they went to college or whatever. Yeah. So competition was tough in that league.
Is that the New England one?
Yeah, New England.
Oh yeah, okay. With like Brewster Academy and
So there's different divisions. That's the Division 1.
Right.
We were in Division 2, but we always played Division 1 teams.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. So again, like, that's always been my story. Like, come from like be the smaller guys, come from the like underdog team and play against like the big boys. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's rare that I've been like in that situation where I'm like the favorite or whatever. Yeah.
And do you think that's sort of played an impact on your mentality and your approach to the game, from I guess your experiences, from being at Lawrence Academy?
I guess so. I mean, I've always felt like from the beginning that I was behind, so I had to work very hard to catch up to people who've been playing all their lives. My dad told me a long time ago that someone been playing ball since they was 4. And you start when you're 14. You're 10 years behind. That's 10 years of pain you got to put in just to get on the same level as them. Not to mention the people that's better than them. So that's how I always thought about it. So I mean, that was always very natural to me. I just always felt like it didn't matter where I was at. Like I can elevate to the next level. Thankfully I was blessed with some height that let me skip a couple steps, and
Yeah.
And I work hard on my athleticism and the rest of my game to kind of catch up. But I never felt like I was outdone by, or because I wasn't at the biggest school or in the biggest program. I just always, I was always just the guy. I was always just like, man, if I was there, like, come on, it wouldn't even be fair. Like, I have to be here, like, to make it fair. That's how I always felt about it. Like, I have to be here, like, because I can do it from here. Like, I don't think everyone can take certain routes and make it that way. So that's how I felt about the situation.
Yeah.
A guy or wrong, but that's the mentality I had going into it. But it also kind of made me think about, now as a professional, like, there's certain things I understand, like, there's certain things I expect, there's certain things, you look out for in your deals and whatever. So, like, you want to be, like, in the best situation that allows you to be the best version of yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think, and what I think is, a lot of times, like, guys who come up in situations that's always the best situations, they might take that for granted and expect that all the times. Whereas if you haven't always been in that best situation, now when you're in the best situation, you fully use it how it's supposed to be used, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. And then also, it's like you said, like, the guys who've always been in the best situations, the minute they find themselves in an uncomfortable situation, some of them, crumble. Yeah, they can't cope. So yeah, that's interesting. You'd say that, man. So you ended up, going, I guess, back to Europe and signing at the Canaries Basketball Academy. I know you mentioned it that you reluctantly went there, but what was that experience like? Because I think growing up, I heard a mixed bunch. I heard some people say, went there and ended up, having really, really good careers. I think a few people, end up going to Division 1 schools and whatnot. And I've also heard some people who've gone there and tried to escape in the middle of the night because it was so bad with the time they were having there. So what was your experience like?
I mean, it's like we said just now, that not everyone could deal with, different situations. Like, it was, first of all, it was very hard. And a lot of guys who came after us, like, I was there the first year. I was there the second year. The first year, it was just Joe Freedom by himself. Because at first, it wasn't even the Canaries Basketball Academy. It was, we was at Gran Canaria. We was playing for Gran Canaria. And then one of the coaches, Loyala, who started the academy, you would just put in extra work with him. Like, he went out, he found us, put us there. And from the extra work, we just started excelling.
Yep.
So Joe, actually, the first year, Joe was a footer. Joe went to the league from there. He played in the Hoop Summit, and I mean, just the exposure he got from schools, and he went to the league. So then the next year, it was myself, Ryan Richards, a kid from Finland, Iceland, and 2 kids from the Czech Republic. So just the 5 of us, and we also worked out with the ACB team, like the second team from the ACB team, the EBA team, and so we do the schedule that all the Spanish guys did, and we do the academy schedule all in one day. So it was tough, man. It was really hard, and the workouts would be individual workouts. You'd be with this guy for like an hour and a half, killing you, man, 3-4 times a day. But it was an attempt to get better. And quite honestly, if you're number one, if you ain't got a game, if you ain't tough, like, you're not gonna make it. So then now the third year, which was my second year, is when the academy started properly, because we ended up getting kicked out of the Gran Canaria Youth Academy, the youth setup.
Oh wow.
Because we got kicked out because the guy got fired. They fired him basically because he was bringing in guys, making them good, and we weren't signing long term with the team. Because what would happen is the team wanted the guys to sign like 6-7 year deals, basically until you was like 24, 25. Your whole youth career, which meant you couldn't go to the States. It would limit your options. And obviously at the time, it's like, it's not something I wanted to do personally. So since this guy was bringing these kids in, the team was housing them, and they weren't seeing any rewards for it, they got frustrated and fired him.
Damn.
So we went with him. We got kicked out with him, and then that's how the academy started. So now the academy, more kids are coming in, and the conditions aren't necessarily, the first year aren't necessarily as nice as we might have had them at Gran Canaria. We were well taken care of. Like, everyone had a place to stay. We had beds, rooms, and stuff like that. But you had to walk to the gym, and then we'd be in the gym at like 6 in the morning, and we practice 4 or 5 times a day. The weights, like the weight room was old school. Like, we was lifting the weights that Arnold Schwarzenegger and them man was lifting back in the day. You know what I mean?
The rusty iron ones.
The rusty iron ones, man. Like, if that thing fell on your foot or bust your foot open, yeah, man. And then practices was tough, brother. Like in the morning we'd be at 6 a.m. ball handed, 1 hour. Go back, chill for a little bit, get your food, make your own food,
Yeah.
Then go back, second practice, then we'd eat, they'd feed us. But then the food might be like just lentil soup.
Jesus.
3 times a day, like, it was in the dungeon, fam, but it was there, like, it made you tough, it made you tougher, like, you knew what you was there for. We had great times, though. We had some amazing times, fam. We had some amazing times, but if you could make it through that, and the coaching was tough, man. So when you're doing good, man, what make you feel like you're on top of the world, like, he let you know that there's an opportunity for you as long as you keep working. But when you wasn't, if you let off a little bit, and that's what a lot of guys can't put up with, because he would keep you accountable every single day, man. It didn't matter who you was, man. But he used to have these coaches come to the gym. We had Kansas come to see. I had Kansas, but I couldn't even name all the schools that came to see me, and it was the head coaches, fam. The head coaches. Yeah. I remember one time Herb Sendek came from Arizona State, and he was like, "Yeah, man, now we want you to school. We got this kid. You like him, he stayed in school for an extra year. He just wants to He wants to get his body in a little better shape, but he's probably going to go top 5 in the draft. You might have heard of him. His name's James Harden. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, I know that guy. But I'm telling you, this is how the coaches came from the States. They come to Spain. Not even Spain, fam. Gran Canaria, which is like an island like off the coast of Africa.
Yeah.
And when we was at Gran Canaria, the club, we was in Las Palmas, which was the capital city. But now we was up in this year we was up in the mountains, fam. We was up in the mountains, like they had us in the gulag, fam. We was over there. We was in the dungeon, fam. And you had to be a soldier to come out of there.
So
it's like,
sorry, go on, Karen. Sorry.
I'm just saying, man. That's why, like, you will hear a lot of stories of guys like, nah, I couldn't do it. I had to leave or whatever. Or the guy was too tough, or the rhythm was too tough. And I don't knock anyone for it. I do not knock anyone for it. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of like it gets you ready for that the basketball career, because quite honestly, it's not for everyone, man. Especially once you turn pro, it's not for everyone, because things change, man. When you're young, you have dreams and goals, and you think that, yeah, I'm just gonna work hard, man. I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna get my opportunity. And when I get my opportunity, it's not how it goes, man. So going through this type of life early on prepares you and lets you know that you can get through stuff later on.
So do you feel like that was your, biggest takeaway from your experience there?
Partly. I mean, I always felt like, I think the biggest takeaway was like, I thought I was working hard, man, but that was working hard, fam. That was working hard. That nigga used to have us, boy. Man, that was some army shit, fam.
I mean, it sounds like it, man. Shit. Lentil soup, 5 workouts a day, man. Shit.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's sometimes, but everything was coming out of his pocket, and like the first year when you started something, like it's tough.
Yeah.
So he ain't had the sponsorships he had now. He ain't had all this stuff now, but everything is out of his own pocket. He's making stuff happen. He's like, when I think back to it now, it's like, damn, that shit's amazing. Like the stuff that he's able to pull off. And forever thankful for him. Forever grateful for the time he put into us. But yeah, it was tough, man. It was tough living, and like I said, the work ethic aspect of it. But I think he took us to Houston to work out with John Lucas. He took me and Ryan to Houston to work out with John Lucas. That's when first time I worked out with pros. Like I was working out with like J.R. Smith. And who else was over there? Big Baby was there. It's when Big Baby was getting ready for the draft.
Big Baby Davis.
Yeah, those days. Tyler Thomas was getting ready. Joe Green was when he was in the Celtics his second year. Boy, that boy is a freak, man. There were so many guys who were getting ready. Like we was working out with the guys getting ready for the draft that year. That must have been 2006. Yeah, I think 2006, 2007. So NBA players draft. It was just incredible, like the environments we were being put in and the people we was playing against and playing with, So the exposure that we got simply from being there, So it was a lot of tough times, but it was a lot of like just experiences that can't, you wouldn't be able to get them in the UK or even in the States. To be honest with you, the States was more like high school experience, go to high school, work hard in high school, work hard when you're practicing, but you're in high school, have fun, enjoy yourself. This year, this was work, fam.
Sounds like that, man. Sounds like that, man.
This was work, yeah, man.
So you ended up, playing at Loyala Marymount for college. What was the recruitment process like then? I gather that was, from your time at the Canaries.
Yeah. I mean, I was school, so I had UCLA in LA. I had SC in LA, but I just had a special relationship with the coach there. He came to see me in Spain. He came to my apartment. He's the only coach that came to my apartment, and he's hanging out with myself and Menelik. And he was going to take us, and he just told us, his vision. Like he was coming from the NBA. He was at the Trailblazers. He's at the Pacers now, but he was leaving the Trailblazers, and he wanted to come back to college because he coached UNLV back in the day. Yeah, he had a vision that he wanted to take a mid-major, get high major players, take them to mid-major, and give them an opportunity to build pro careers for themselves that way, but make noise from the mid-major level, and he thought it could be done. So basically, like, you know, before like Dame and stuff, and guys that made it popular, like he had that vision.
Mm.
So we got a lot of good freshmen to come to the school, and we all went there together with the same vision. Like, I didn't even see the school, like, you know, before I like committed. Like, I was looked into the vision. I was looked into the coach. You know, I was happy with it. You know, I had some other good schools that I visited at the same time, but I knew I wouldn't go there, and the vibe was right for me. Unfortunately, he left and went back to the NBA after 3 months, and that messed everything up for us. We ended up being a pretty dysfunctional team over the four years I was there.
Oh, raw.
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
Touching on that, you know, you said about the dysfunctional team. How do you feel like your experience at Loyala Marymount, you know, shaped the rest of your career? Like, you know, when you graduated, from when you started to when you graduated.
I think, again, good and bad. Off the court stuff was amazing in terms of school. You know, in terms of broadening my horizons as a person, in terms of opening my eyes to that. You know, okay, that you're more than a basketball player. There's people out here doing this, doing that. Like you quite like being artistic. You quite like, you know, whatever. You know, you like business. You know, here's how you can make some money. Here's how for yourself. Had me start thinking about how to be an entrepreneur and how to start, you know, doing stuff for myself that way. You know what I mean? Get into the world that way. So it was amazing in that aspect. And basketball too, it was amazing simply because it was a very good league that I was playing in. But, you know, obviously the guy I went to go play for, he wasn't there no more. So when the next guy came, the next guy stepped up. One of the assistant coaches stepped up to be the head coach, and he was originally like a defensive coach. But obviously he's got his own vision for how he wanted things to go. So he didn't necessarily, he didn't recruit us. So he didn't know us the way the other guy knew us. He didn't have the same vision for us. So he was trying to have guys do things that were a little bit different from what they were being recruited for, whatever. So that me, for instance, that I was recruited to be on the wing. Like, you know, they wanted to groom me to be like a tall wing.
Right.
And he was like, oh, nah, I want you to be like a big, strong, undersized 5, like a big, strong, undersized big. Like he had this vision of Craig Smith, like, because he was from the East Coast. He'd actually coached in that prep school league, and he loved Craig Smith. He went to Boston College, and Craig Smith was like 6'7", but he weighed like 280. He was like a Zion, you know what I mean? But obviously not Zion's athleticism, but like a Zion back in the day.
Yeah.
And that's what he wanted me to be like. He said, "No, we're gonna make you gain 80 pounds. You're gonna play like Craig Smith." I was like, "No." So he was like, "Well, you ain't gonna play then." You know, I was like, "What?" So I spent a lot of time trying to win him over rather than play my game or just, you know, excel at my game. And a few of us had problems with him because we had guys who were from different backgrounds. We had guys from different upbringing. So he didn't necessarily know how to connect with us all the time. You know, he had some guys who he connected with. He had some guys he didn't connect with, and that was all part of the dysfunctionality of the team. When it clicked, we clicked amazingly, man. Like we beat UCLA when they was top 10 on ESPN at their place. We beat Gonzaga when they was top 5 on ESPN at our place. We beat USC at USC when they was top 5. We beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame when they was top 5 on ESPN. Like we had a really talented team, and like we won some big time games. We could never just put it together long enough to do what we were supposed to do. You know, the coaching staff was that was first coming together and learning things, and the school was learning to have a basketball team, a respectable basketball team. The culture wasn't there, you know, so a lot of things were coming together, you know. So, and like I said, we had a lot of freshmen, and you know, not a lot of returning players. It's not like we had like normally like schools you hear like the senior leadership and stuff like that. We didn't have none of that stuff really, you know. So that's what made it dysfunctional. But overall, man, as a player, like I said, it was good for me. I learned how to play inside early and against bigger guys. And then, I was able to keep like my outside game, and I improved with that over time. I played against all kinds of people. My coaching staff, the other coaches were, they were really good guys, and they really helped me out in my game. And it was a dope experience overall. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but it was, it was amazing, and I would do it again.
Do you ever feel like how what you're saying about the coach wanting you to put on a ton of weight and essentially transform you into a style of play that he wanted? Did you ever think about if you had maybe, let's say, put on mad weight and become that undersized center, like how your career would have panned out?
Yeah, it would have been over quick. that player died out like the year after that, I think.
Yeah.
The league changed, the professional game changed. I went to school in 2008. That's when 2008, 2009. That's when the crisis was at all time high. The basketball crisis, or the economic crisis was at all time high. Money in basketball was low, and basketball started to change. Like, we started going into a small ball. Skill was more sought after than just pure physical. Like you couldn't just play one-on-one the whole time. The team, the European game was infiltrating the States too.
Yeah.
Things were changing, and that's how I was brought up. To be like an athletic guy with skill. But he took away my confidence to just go out there and be myself.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted me to be a certain kind of way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's funny because you get a lot of kids from Britain who go over to America and put on mad weight. There's one that comes to mind. I won't say his name, but he went to a big school, and like if you look at his physique before he went there, he was more of like a polished sort of stretch big, and then he went to the States and turned into an absolute just a tank that wasn't the most agile, but was big and strong. And if you look at where he played and where he ended up playing after he left college, you could argue, that was the move that essentially, like you said, his career was not over, but it didn't go as where it should have gone, given like the tools he had going in.
Quite honestly, that's another thing I learned. Like, a big difference between making it and not making it is the management of a player from a young age. Like how are you managing him? How are you managing not just his physical but his mental?
Yeah.
And quite honestly, like it's like sometimes I think to myself, like sometimes when I was younger, I used to get mad about how I was dealt with and how I was managed when I was younger, when I was coming up. Not just at the university, but even before that, like even at Towers, because at Towers there was a time when when I started getting good, like the coach, his son played in the team too. So as I started to kind of get better than his son, it's like he would stop coaching me, and he would tell me like, oh, don't shoot the ball, don't do this, or don't. And obviously I'm not from a basketball background. My dad didn't play basketball. Like, we don't understand certain things. We didn't know certain things. So I didn't know that he was like suppressing me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like the way I think about that, like, I'm never a person who likes to, especially as I get older, I never point fingers or put blame on anyone else for a situation. Like, every situation, if it goes my way, if it didn't go my way, it's because of something I've done. So I honestly feel that, if I was better, younger, then coaches would have let me fully be myself all the time, rather than put me in a box or just, because the thing with me was like I said, I started playing late. But I was a hard worker, and I was tough. And I had, and God blessed me with a little bit of height at that time already. Yeah. So, and because I worked hard, I became athletic. So it was like, okay, we have to find a spot to put him on the court. But let's not let him, you got a kid, you want him out there because he can help you, but you don't really want him with the ball yet. And that was me. Yeah. Whereas if I had been better, if I'd been working out more, if I'd been, dedicating myself more, even more than I was, then maybe I would have got to a point where I was good enough to just go off and make it happen at that time. And then coaches would have been, rather than pigeonhole me, they would have been like, nah, just let him do his thing. So, I mean, I'm to blame for it too. But like you said, it happens to a lot of kids from the UK, man. Like, we go to the States and someone tells us, oh, we got to put on weight, or we feel that we have to put on a lot of weight, or I don't know, man. Anything can happen, man. Anything can happen.
Yeah, no, too right, man, too right. So you end up graduating, and you had some workouts with some NBA teams.
Yeah.
What was that like, and what teams did you work out with?
It was amazing, man. I worked out 360 Impact. I worked out Impact in the Valley in LA and in Vegas. I worked out in Vegas with the Kings when I got to the Kings at Impact there. Yeah, I worked out with the Lakers twice, 3 times. Sorry, I worked out with the Timberwolves and the Dallas Mavericks.
My Mavericks.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That was one of my favorite workouts, and yeah, it just kind of taught me again. I started learning a little bit about the game, a little bit about the politics of the game. Yeah, and the Lakers really liked me. That's why they kept bringing me back for workouts. So I did that. Great experience. Started learning about the league a little bit. Unfortunately, I was hurt when I went into the workouts. I still competed well, did well, showed leadership, showed my understanding of the game. My willingness to compete, and that made a lot of those teams that liked me. Just like I remember at the Lakers, the strength conditioning guy. One day he came up to me, he's like, "Yo, Asher, you hurt?" Mind you, my knee's paining me, fam. It was hurting me from the season, but I had to play a lot that season because our recruiting class was bad, so I couldn't afford to sit out. Yeah, and we didn't have the greatest year, so I couldn't afford to sit out. So my knee was hurting me. And obviously, like after you think you're okay, but I wasn't. So
Yeah.
I remember my agent called me. He was like, "Yo, Ash, the Lakers said that they thought you would test better. Like, are you hurt?" I'm like, "Yo, my knee's hurting, man." But I was like, I didn't tell him. No, I didn't tell him. He's like, "Oh, okay." Like now, again, sometimes when I think back to that situation, I think that maybe I should have just been honest, because if they did like me the way they like me, then maybe they would have helped me get better.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just little things like that, man. I started, and because I got hurt there when I went to the Kings actually bought my contract from the Lakers and put me straight in the summer league team. And they said they wanted to keep me for a training camp at the rookie camp later on in the summer, but I got hurt in summer league in Vegas. So because I was hurt, they let me go, and that was the end of it. But before that, I had some really good workouts with other teams. The Mavericks said that they was going to take me at 44. They ended up trading my pick for Monte Ellis. But my short time with the Mavericks was amazing. Yeah, it was just good. It was just nice to. That was another part of the dream. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I know you play 2K, and you're working out for the draft. You go to the combine, you're doing that stuff. Like that was just to even partake in that. It was.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was amazing. When I went to something, I was at UNLV in the arena. Like I played there before. I played against UNLV and I played in there. But to be there for summer league, to have that NBA logo on your socks and your shorts and your jersey, your name on that stuff, you're getting the money for that, the per diem, like the way you was living and stuff like that. Like it was to experience that for the short time I experienced it, man. It was like, it's priceless.
Yeah.
Priceless.
No, I bet, man. That sounds lit, man. Like,
Yeah,
like
man.
you said, like you see it on 2K. Like the interviews with the teams when you're about to do the My Player and stuff. But it's like you actually, lived it. That's
man.
Sounds sick, man.
Yeah, man. I sat down with D'Antoni, sitting down talking to him. I'm pretty cool with like a lot of the assistants at the time who were like lower down assistants, not the bigger assistants now. So I got like a lot of friends in the league from that. I was side to side with Cardell. He was the one who told me, like, listen, man, like, how you feel about if we don't take you? How you feel about coming in here for summer league? And like, but we want you at 44. Like, just to have those conversations. It was mad, It was
Yeah.
it was like, what? Like, yes, I'll be here. Like,
Yeah.
say no more. Like,
Yeah. No, that sounds so raw, man. That sounds so raw.
Yeah.
So you ended up, turning pro, signing your first contract in Italy. Is that right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So how did that come about? And what was that sort of first, I guess your rookie season like?
Rookie season was up and down. Like I said, I was hurt, so I went back to LA. I rehabbed. Didn't fully know what was going on. Just I had tendonitis in my knee. It got to a point where it was very, very bad. I couldn't do anything on it. And, I did rehab for about 8 weeks. And then I started working out again slowly. And I got a call. My agent was like, there was a team in Poland wants you. I have to get on the plane tomorrow. And I was like, oh, man, Poland, I don't want to go to Poland. But again, me not knowing anything, me being stupid, that this team was a good team in the VTB. They wanted to sign me for 2 years. The second year they was in the EuroLeague, so I could have been in the EuroLeague my second year. I just didn't. Yeah, I didn't know any better. So on the way, when I'm at LAX, and with my bags, I'm about to check in, and my girl at the time just dropped me off. She had my car. I left my car with her, and my agent called me. He's like, actually, you want to go to Italy or you want to go to Poland? I said, I want to go to Italy. And he was like, all right, don't get on the plane. And I was like,
wow.
I was like, what? Just said that? He said, yeah, don't get on the plane. I said, what about the contract? He said, don't worry about that, man. I said, what if they come back for the money or what? He said, they ain't gonna sue you for that little money you're making now. And he said, you're a rookie. They ain't gonna sue you for that. This you probably never gonna play in Poland again. But I was like, yeah, I'm cool. I said, I'm okay with that. And he was like, okay, cool. So he said, go home. I'll go home. We're gonna get you on the plane to Italy tomorrow.
Damn.
I said, okay. Okay, so called my girl. I went back home. Had another night at home, and then next day I was off to Italy. Now the thing about Italy, again, the situation, me not knowing any better, like, so these are all different questions I asked now. And mind you, I had a very good agent. Very, very good agent. He's an NBA agent. Like, he's the Marcus Cousins agent now. He's got John Wall. He's got Ricky Rubio. Had Chandler Parsons. He did his big deal. Both of his big deals. Who else he have? He had like 12 max contract guys and me. Like I was the other guy. 12 big time guys and me. So he had a lot of faith in me and everything. But he had a lot of contacts in other countries, and the contacts would get me jobs in other countries. So now the Italian agent was like, oh no, yeah, this team needs a guy, and we think it's going to be a good opportunity for him to play. So the team was a team that didn't have a big budget in the Italian league, but they always kind of fight to not to get relegated. So they thought I was going to be able to go there and play, and I didn't know that. I thought I was just going to a team. So I get there now, and there's 5 imports. I'm the 5th one.
Right.
It's all our first year. We're all first year players except for one guy. But the team's okay, So I get there. The first day I get there, they got a preseason game. I watch a preseason game. I think like, oh yeah, I can do this. I can help. I can make this happen. Get to practicing. I'm like, yeah, cool. When the point guard gets hurt, tears his ACL.
Oof.
Then I have my first preseason game. I go up, have a really good game. I'm really confident for the season. Then after that, the second point guard goes down, ACL. Now we have no point guard.
Jesus Christ. Your team was cursed, man. Shit.
Boy, yeah, man. Now, we didn't have the budget to just get another player.
Yeah.
So we was in a situation where, like, the two man, they put the 2 man at the point. And he wasn't really a point. So we struggled through it. We won the first game with him playing the point. And we knocked off one of the top teams. There was a Euro Cup team the year before. And we were supposed to get relegated. So first game of the season, we come out, we beat them at their place. Crazy. But then they needed a point guard, so someone had to be a scapegoat. So they ended up getting rid of me to keep space for, because I was a newest guy. I got rid of me to make space for a new point guard. And I remember the GM called me to the office, and he was telling me about it. He was like, I'm sorry, it's not personal, just something we got to do, whatever. But there's a team that wants you right now, and then Italy. And again, me, lack of knowledge, lack of education, lack of knowing where I was going. I was like, what? I'm thinking it's in the same league, just another team. But it was in the division below, it was in the second division.
Oh, wow.
I only found out after I was there. So they was like, no, the plane's good. You have to take the train and the plane. And we sorted it all out. And, it took me forever to get there. once I got there, again, it was kind of like a shock. I was like, this ain't how I was living before. This ain't everything that was. I was like, something's up, something's different. And then when I found out, but now it was too late. I was there. So I had to make the most of the situation. And, it was a good situation. It was still a good level of basketball.
Is there a big, gap between the first and second division in Spain?
Nah, it's Spain?
Sorry, not Spain, in Italy.
In Italy?
Yeah.
It depends, man. Maybe the top teams it's always the top teams in the second division couldn't play in the first division, but like the difference would be like, so like in Italy, for instance, like you can only have 2 import players.
Right.
In the second division, but in the first division you can have 5.
Right.
And that makes a big difference. So in terms of like athleticism across the board, in terms of like adding extra weapons to your team, to your roster, you can do that with in the first division, and on top of that, budgets are a bit bigger, so you get like the best Italians or the best Spanish guys or whatever,
Yeah.
So that makes a difference. That's what really makes a difference. But the standard of play, like the quality of play, is very high. Like the Italian second division and the Spanish second division are very, very good leagues.
Yeah.
They're actually better than some of the first leagues I played in other countries.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a good segue actually. Speaking on the other countries you've played in, you've played in Spain, Ukraine, Lebanon, Italy.
Yeah.
In terms of like the playing styles in each of these countries, which one would you say was probably the most suited towards to your game and how you play, and which one did you enjoy the most? I guess individual success.
I think I enjoyed Ukraine the most because they had me on the ball the most. They in Ukraine, they even put me at the point at times. They just go be a point forward, just give me the ball, let me be Scottie Pippen basically.
Yeah.
So, and for me, like, I'm not necessarily like a guy who just wants to score the whole time or just to score the whole time. Like I score, but it comes,
Yeah.
Like I don't like to force the game too much. Like I'm most comfortable with the ball in my hands doing stuff.
Yeah.
But because of how my career has been and how the different places I've played, I'm also comfortable playing different roles. So I had a great time in Lebanon. Lebanon, they were like, just go get it. So I went to go get it. In Greece, I went to Greece after Italy, and they were like, my first time in Italy, it was kind of like, we need you to do everything. And then second time in Italy, it was like, we need you to do everything and go get it. So I did that.
Yeah.
That's how I got to Greece. And then in Greece, but when I went to Greece, they were like, we know you can do everything and we know you score, but we need you to defend and space the floor and shoot the ball.
Right.
So I did that. But because I could do the other things, because I did my job well, I was able to do other things well too. So I get my ISOs, I get my, when I get the ball, I just go make a play, go make stuff happen. So it made the team better that way too. So I've always been very comfortable in different roles. Now, when I've been to Spain, Spain can change, man, because the Spanish game is very, I don't know, man. The Spanish game is very different. It's kind of like a mix of all the different leagues. So
right.
One game you might need to go get it. Another game, you got to lock someone down. Another game, you got to, they might be playing you a different certain type of way because the coaching is, they're like, our team does not allow layups, so you got to make all jumpers that game. If you make me win, if you don't, you're gonna lose. So like every game's different. Or like you might have a matchup where they need you in the post. So it's hook shots all day.
Yeah.
Spain is kind of like a combination of all. So which makes it difficult, but it's also rewarding when it works out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I pride myself in being able to play different roles, be comfortable in different situations. So I've actually had a great time.
Yeah.
Everywhere I've played, I've never been like, I don't like this place or whatever. I always kind of make it work for myself.
Yeah. So fast forward, you end up, signing at the new franchise here in the UK for the London City Royals.
Yeah.
So firstly, how did that move come about for people who might not know?
Well, it came at a time when I just won the championship in Spain, and I had a deal for the following year, but I was hurt, and they ended up cutting me. Unceremoniously, even though they promised me that everything would be fine, even if I was hurt, because I got hurt during the season. They were like, you can have surgery now, you can have surgery later, but if you have it later, it will really help us out because we think we're going to win it with you. So, and they was like, don't worry about your deal, like everything's set for the next year. So I put trust in them. It was just another time, again, learning about the game and everything, just putting trust in other people and doing stuff for other people rather than focusing on myself. So I was just at a time when I was like, you know what? I ain't jumping through these hoops for these people no more. I'm gonna do what I want to do. And then, luckily this situation came by, and from how I've always conducted myself, business-wise and as an individual, the team came to me as one of the first people that they wanted involved, and they wanted to build around me, and it just seemed like a good opportunity for me to, do something for myself, have a chance to play at home, and have a chance to start to do certain things that I can't do whilst I'm overseas, like get a mortgage, start my company, just kind of start putting pieces into play for life after basketball eventually, because quite often a lot of guys don't think about that. So with me being home and being in London, it would let me, and part of my deal was that these people were going to help me put a lot of this stuff together.
Right.
Yeah, so all these opportunities, it just seemed too good to be true. I mean, too good to turn down. So I guess it did become too good to be true. And then, but that's another story for another day.
Yeah. So what were your, in terms of I guess from a playing standpoint, what was your, thoughts on playing in the BBL and your expectations of the league?
I mean, I'm a fan of the BBL. I've always been a fan of the BBL. Like every year I come home, I go to the playoff final. As a big supporter of anyone really, anyone from the UK, any team from the UK, anyone doing good from the UK. I became good friends with Peter Simmons at Leicester Riders. I go up there, I see him a couple of times a year at Joe Pinchin. I'm always been cool with PJ, who's at Plymouth now, but he was at Worcester before. Fab, I've known Fab for years up at Newcastle. Obviously, I know Vince. I had a good relationship with a lot of the BBL, and then guys who play in the BBL. Justin just gone to the BBL, and obviously I know Joe from growing up. All them was in the BBL at the time. It's my dog. I've always known about the BBL, and the BBL was the first professional basketball I saw myself. So I never thought I'd be back in the BBL at the time when I went back to the BBL, but I was never closed off to the BBL either. And I've never been arrogant enough or, to think that the BBL wasn't a level where I could play or like I was too good for the BBL. It's just, business-wise, you got to make certain type of decisions for yourself. And it wasn't a time where I needed to make that decision. But when it came time for an opportunity that made sense, I was more than happy to come home to the BBL. I feel like there's something else you learn as you get older. That all these other leagues that they build stuff. Like, especially nowadays, everyone's trying to build their things, everyone's trying to build their companies, everyone's trying to build something for themselves, get their little stake of the pie. Like these other countries, that's what the players, that's what the federations are trying to build for themselves, a stake of the pie, a seat at the table. In the UK, we don't have that because our league isn't necessarily run the right way. There's not money in the league, right. So guys have to leave the UK to get a decent job or to get decent pay. Like the BBL should be one of the best leagues in Europe simply because it's an English-speaking country and there's so many guys who speak English who are premier players in these different countries. And if they had the opportunity to play in the UK, they would. But they can't leave that money on the table since the basketball playing field is so short. Yeah. So like I said, business-wise, it made sense for me to come home, and it was a good opportunity for me to come home. So I was over the moon, man. I was over the moon. I wanted to come home and be part of change, be part of, helping things go, be part of the British basketball culture, play in front of fans at home, play in front of people at home, and just help help the next guy who was coming from where I was coming from. So I was very excited about it.
Yeah, and obviously when I heard about the London City Royals and who they were putting on the team, like it, as a fan first and foremost, it was exciting. You know what I mean? I hate the fact that you lot were in Crystal Palace, but it was great for London basketball.
Where you from, Chuck?
I'm from North, man. I live in Barnet, so I wanted to go to more games, but I think I only ended up going to one game because it's an hour and a half drive through central London for me to get there.
That's pain. You better have taken a train.
Yeah, probably. I think I probably should have because it was an absolute nightmare getting there. And like obviously I went to university in Newcastle, and that was really where I got my first sort of experience of the BBL. I used to go to Eagles games all the time because they were a walking distance from where I lived. So I always loved doing it. And Lions games are they're not far, but they're not particularly near either. And obviously I knew a lot of the players on the Royals team, so I really wanted to go to more games. It's just coming home from work, then having my own games in Division 1 and then going to Crystal Palace. It was quite a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's also something that they don't do a good job of in the UK. So like ACB and our league games on different days.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of stuff that the BBO has to learn about running things the right way, but some of the stuff is because the money's not there, they just can't take days that they can get. Which means that games will clash with D1 games. So I wanted to go to a lot more D1 games at the time. When I was home, my girl, she was playing the D1 also.
Yeah.
So I couldn't go to her games, and then I did enjoy the days where she's at Thames Valley, so I enjoyed the days where I could go see her play, and then we stay and see the men play also. I'm a fan of basketball. I want to see my guys play. Some of my guys play for Essex. Some of my guys play for Hemel. Who else? Loughborough. I wanted to see these teams play.
Yeah.
But obviously couldn't.
Yeah, no, you're right, man. And I guess the biggest issue, with the BBL is, the teams don't own their facilities, so it's hard to, coordinate that, whereby the games don't clash. My first season at in Division 1, obviously I was at Northumbria, and we were fortunate that we had the partnership with the Eagles, so the Eagles, all their games were on Friday nights. Any home game was on a Friday, unless it was a bank holiday or something. And our games were traditionally on Saturday evenings or Sundays. So there was a lot of us going to their games, them coming to our games, and we were able to sort of support each other like that. But
that's nice. That builds a fan base. That builds familiarity, and it's all part of it. I mean, Newcastle honestly is one of the teams that have done it the right way, and they've really built it from the ground up. A lot of teams try to go for a quick money grab, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and if I'm honest, I feel like that's what the Royals did. I said as much as I wanted the Royals to succeed when I heard about it, and then when I was sort of following what they were doing during the year, I kind of thought, I don't know if this is sustainable. I think you lot went to Serbia in pre-season. You were doing this, that, and the third, and it's that's a lot of money being spent on, considering you don't have an established fan base essentially in your first year. It was kind of.
Listen, bro. Listen. I can't say too much about it, but what I will say is before I signed, man, everything was laid out. Everything was laid out. Everything was planned. Everything we did, everything was planned. It was planned. Budgets were shown. Money was shown. Everything was there. Everything was there. So now the way it was managed after that, and whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
But everything was in place for 3 years. That's why I signed for 3 years. I sat down. I mean, for me to even make that change, for me to come from Europe and come to the BBL, it's not. I wanted to do it, but it's not a small thing. Do you know what I mean? So I think we had at least 10 meetings, man. The negotiation took a good 2 months.
Yeah.
It took ages, man.
So you win the BBL trophy in your first season. You get MVP in a really, really good final that I remember watching. And then end of the season, you play Leicester, lose to them at the O2 in the playoff final. Looking back, do you feel that the team underachieved or met the expectations that you had going in? What was essentially your review of the season at the end?
Quite honestly, I feel that the team underachieved simply because we lost a lot more games than we should have lost. We could have we not quite easily. That's definitely the wrong word, but we had the opportunity to compete with the Lions at the top of the table, even win the league if we had played how we were supposed to play the whole season. But we were dealing with a lot of things, man. We were dealing with a lot of things came with that first year. A lot of things, became apparent, as you said, throughout the year that was, making life difficult. Like we were dealing with a lot more than just being basketball players, in terms of preparation, and other things going into the games. So, I mean, many times people didn't know about what was going on, and to this day, people don't know what was going on, but we had to just deal with that as players.
Yeah.
So we kind of overcame a lot. But even so, many times we're in games. Some games we lost due to free throws. Some games we lost due to bad defending. Some games we lost to, I think Newcastle beat us on a buzzer beater, because we made a mistake at the end of one of the games. Like, all these small things, like, kept us from, like, with everything that was going on that year, we always had a chance to be in the games. Like, the only game that was really just out of our hands was Leicester at the O2 at the end, and they were just better prepared than we were at the end of the day. Like, even like that was probably the worst preparation, the worst week of preparation that we had the whole season with everything else going on too. Just even like how we had to get to the game and everything else. Like, it was such a struggle that was had by the players simply because of what was going down with management at the top.
Yeah.
And you can't do those type of things when you're going up against, a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
And they just showed their experience and and their championship pedigree, and did what they were supposed to do. And so yeah, I definitely feel like we underachieved. I think we got knocked out of the cup in the first round. We got knocked out of the cup. We lost the league. We came fifth in the league, and then we lost in the playoff final. But we did make it to two finals. We won one of them.
Yep.
So there was a lot of good things that happened that year, man. A lot of good things that happened that year. But in terms of overall, like, going into the season and thinking that, and looking back at the season and things we could have done, and what we did do, definitely could have done more.
Yeah.
In my own personal opinion.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. The thing is, I think in basketball, like, and sometimes, I'm guilty of it when I put my, my fan hat on, so to say. But it's like, you see a team on paper and you think they're gonna win everything. Do you know what I'm saying? But basketball, especially at this sort of level, it's not one on paper. You know what I mean? It's like you might have all the talent on one team, but the other team might not be as talented, but they might have played together, or they might have had the same core for the last how many years, and chemistry plays a big part in the success of a lot of teams.
There's a lot of factors that go into winning, and honestly, like even before I signed, one of the main things I said was, like, you don't win with the players. Like, I mean, you win with the players, but it starts from the top, man. Quite honestly, it starts from the top, and it trickles down. And if things aren't done the right way at the top, it's not going to be the right way at the bottom. It's like any other business. Like any other business. Things have to be the right way at the top if you want it to be the right way at the bottom. It doesn't matter how good the pieces are at the bottom. It don't matter what product you have out there. If you're not marketing it the right way, branding it the right way, putting out there the right way, it's not going to sell.
Yeah, no, too right, man, too right. So this season, obviously, we spoke about your time in the second division. In terms of like playing standards, how would you compare the BBL to the second division in Spain?
It's pretty far behind. Yeah, it's pretty far behind. There's guys who can play here from the BBL, but overall, the standard, from the presentation, the organization, the referees, the arenas, the overall coaching, the IQs of the game, it's different. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a higher standard there for sure.
I'm always intrigued, like, cause obviously I haven't had the opportunity or to play in other countries, so I'm always, I guess curious as to, how far behind or how close, the BBL is as compared to other countries. I've heard, some people say who've played in Spain say, it's, I don't know, I guess equivalent to like the top half of the third division or So I was just interested
Equivalent to top half of the third division, or what? What do you mean?
in terms of like the
Or the
the
BBL to the
BBL.
third division in Spain?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. That'll probably be close. I've never played in the third division in Spain, but
Oh right.
if I think about some of the teams that have struggled in the past in the second division, then yeah, possibly. But
Right.
also, I mean, the year I won the league in the second division, the last game of the season we played a team that was about to get relegated, and they had to win to stay up, and they beat us by 30.
Damn.
It was bad that day. Yeah, it could be. The thing about Spain is like it's a long season, and this happens all the time with professional teams. Like, say the NBA, for instance. The NBA, every team is talented. It's just, if you get into like a losing habit and things aren't going right and whatever, and things just aren't going well, losing is a habit. The same way winning is a habit, and that can happen. So some of these teams that struggle, they can be, if they struggle one year, they can be amazing the next year, or that's why it's tough to say like, maybe one of the worst second division teams would be like BBL team or whatever. But at the same time, like, don't get me wrong, like, the BBL has a lot of guys who can play at this level and do well.
Yeah.
The main thing is just knowing how to play basketball. Like, can you fit in with what the coaches want? Can you play the system? Can you do this? Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, if you can go into a situation and know and look like you belong there, then that's the biggest hurdle, really.
Right. So let's move away from your playing onto your recent venture, A.G.P Sports. Talk to me about that. What's that, and how did it come about?
Well, like I said, me coming home with the Royals was supposed to unveil it around that time, but obviously things started going down the drain, so I had to kind of hold back on that. But it's stuff that I've been doing for a long time in terms of like some of my other projects. Like A.G.P Sports is basically the name of the umbrella company that houses all my projects. And underneath the umbrella, like, I have my foundation, which is stuff I do in Africa in terms of growing the game and giving opportunities to kids through sports. And then mainly in Sierra Leone right now, where I'm from. And then I have the Skills Academy, which is my basketball teaching, coaching branch of it. And I have a few other things I do in terms of media and the podcast, which is on the way down the road, which is all part of the media aspect of it. But now, since I've unveiled this, and one of the big things I do, I try to educate players on the business side of basketball and the business side of themselves, representing themselves as a business, and making money outside of basketball, not going through that time period, in the summertime where you're not making any money. Now you just take any job in September. You're desperate for a job because teams look out for that. Teams know that guys are desperate, so they're going to offer you a bad contract, or they're going to offer you, whatever, because it's a business, so they're trying to get the most they can for the least they can. Yeah, so when you're in a position where you're not desperate, you make better decisions for yourself. You make better deals. You negotiate better. So I try and educate players on the entrepreneur side of things, and that's led me into another business in design and teaching people how to go on Instagram and things of that nature. Yeah,
so like the branding side and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's very much needed. I had I don't know if you know, but I had Temi Fagbenle on episode 3, and we spoke a bit about like players, like personal brands and branding themselves as not just being a basketball player, being a business. On her, her standpoint, she did a campaign with Sports Direct, which somebody put her forward for, and we spoke essentially about how athletes can use those sort of collaborations to sort of grow their their audience for themselves.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's important. You play 9 months out of the year. Obviously in the summers you're training and whatnot, but as a professional athlete, you got to be looking at other ways to bring in money. By selling the fact that you are a basketball player from London, which is a selling point at itself. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. Exactly.
And I think things like what you're doing is exactly what the game needs, you know, to essentially grow its personality. Do you see what I'm saying? So
thank you. It's always. Since I've started doing this, and since I've been more public about what I do, it's been the feedback's been tremendous. It's been very good, you know, which is nice, because at times it can be difficult. I just think to myself, like, it's a lot of work, man. Like, why am I doing this? You know, like, are people even taking note?
Yeah.
So every time you get those type of affirmations, you know, it definitely helps. Temmie's been a big supporter.
Yeah.
Like I have a store on my company on my website. You know, I haven't even been promoting like the clothes or nothing, because it's not really a time where I want to be selling to people, if that makes sense. You know?
Yeah.
But simply because of putting out awareness and giving out value and information to people and helping people. You know, we've made sales in our store. You know, we've got donations to the foundation, and these are things because I've put these things in place and put them in the world, and because I go about my business in a certain type of way, people have donated to my cause. You know, donated to things that I do. They've given me money for my services, my products. You know, like people hit me up and ask me to do graphic design work for them, or to do this for them, and help them with this or that. And so these are all things that as players we can do in our spare time. You know, like we have hours in the day that we can do this. So I feel like it's imperative to me, the same way I might teach someone, like, you know, about their game, or about, you know, what to look out for with agents or whatever. Like, it's all part of the education of, you know, building yourself up. To me is someone who's done it well for herself, you know.
100%.
And that's on the woman's side. So, and even more so on the women's side, that they don't necessarily always have the same opportunities that we have as guys. So you know, but there is a big time selling point in being a professional basketball player.
Yeah, and being a British one for sure.
Being a British one, yeah. In London, all these brands and companies, but you have to learn how to make yourself valuable to these companies, to these brands, and, you know, build these connections, and, you know, build something for yourself. But you can only make yourself valuable to them if you have something yourself.
Yeah, 100%, man. I couldn't say it better myself, man. Thank you for, you know, coming on and doing the podcast. I think, you know, you've had a great career, you know, to date. And obviously, I wish you the best and anything in the future. I'm gonna put your social medias and stuff in the description, so, you know, people that listen that might not follow you can follow you and keep tabs on your career. But yeah, man, stay safe, and yeah, I wish you all the best, Ashley.
My guy, thank you for having me. I love what you're doing, and yeah, man, keep me updated, man. Stay in touch.
We'll do, man.